Please stop insulting my intelligence and telling me we're not in a war zone when you let all 14 million of them come here. So you were okay with creating the chaos. But then when the chaos is attempting to be controlled, now you have a problem with it because you want it to be cute. You want it to be respectful. You're worried about optics. You're worried about how it makes you feel inside. I knew it. Oh, I knew he was going to weasel out of it. I knew he was going to weasel out of it. 3 more minutes, yeah. He ain't going nowhere. Oh, it's about to get hot. Guys, you can't tell right now, but I'm sweating. Good old J.B. Pritzker. Popping off at the mouth, keeping those Democrat numbers faithfully low on the approval ratings. I got a lot I want to get off my chest in this one. I don't want to spoil it for you. Let's just get into it.
Let's turn to the crackling tinderbox that is the city of Chicago this weekend.
My hometown.
Last night, the president announced he is authorizing 300 members of the Illinois National Guard to, quote, protect federal officers and assets.
Good. It's about time. Long overdue. Send them. Send them. No issues with this at all whatsoever. This is long overdue. I'm with this 100%.
In Chicago, over the objections of the state's Democratic governor, J.B. Pritzker. Just moments ago, the Homeland Security Secretary responded to Chicago's mayor, who called ICE's actions, quote, dangerous and reckless.
People on the streets are clapping as we do our work. They're clapping as these officers are arresting these bad criminals. This is a war zone. His city is a war zone, and he's lying so that criminals can go in there and destroy people's lives. Where we have gone, we've made it much more free. People are much safer.
Joining us now to discuss Illinois Governor J.B.
God damn it. This guy again. I bet if he had it his way, he would have the DEA label salad as a Schedule I drug.
Pritzker, Governor Pritzker, what's your response to Secretary Noem? And as a practical matter, since you oppose this troop deployment, is there anything you can do?
Well, good morning, Jake. And let me just say that the secretary doesn't know what she's talking about. She frankly says that people are clapping. They're not. They're booing her on the street, and they're booing ICE.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give him this one. I do think Christie is laying it on a little bit thick with the people clapping in the street. I've looked all around and I can't find people clapping. Like I've seen Chicago Flips Red. Yeah, they've been rejoicing about it. Unfortunately, JB gets one up on this one.
And CBP, they're marching, the CBP marching on a beautiful Sunday in Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago. They're raiding neighborhoods where instead of going after the bad guys, they're just picking up people who are brown and black and then checking their credentials. Are you a U.S. citizen? I don't know about you, but I don't care.
This is why people hate politicians. He's obfuscating context by way of deception and fear-mongering. Most of you are not going to like what I'm going to say next, but statistically, it's a fact. Most illegals tend to live in low-income neighborhoods in America. Most illegals tend to be of Hispanic origin and come from Mexico. In fact, almost more than 55% of our undocumented immigrants come from Mexico. They make up a huge bulk of the migrant population we have here in America. You may not like it, but that's what statistics say. This, what he's doing though, he's trying to use deception to throw you off the trail. He doesn't want you to see when there's smoke, there's fire. By and large, 73% of immigrants are here lawfully in America. 27% or 14 million, thanks Biden couldn't have done it without you, are here illegally or not by way of legal protection. Logically, it would be primarily the Hispanic population that catches AOE damage. That's just the truth. because by and large, they carry most of the consensus, but not solely because they're Hispanic. So it's not a case of they're being rounded up solely because they are of Hispanic origin. They are here undocumented, and they just so happen to be of that origin that is targeted. Unfortunately, like, you shouldn't ignore, it's no different than if you go into a black populous neighborhood that's infested with crime. And most of the people that are hurting, committing most of their crimes are of African American origin. If that's the makeup of most of the populace, that doesn't mean that you're arresting them solely because they're black. However, him trying to throw in the fact that the black population is being rounded up in ICE raids, black people, I'm telling you now, don't fall for it. This is Democrats using emotional manipulation via the black struggle to garner sympathy. Remember, black community, how Dems asked you if it was okay to place undocumented immigrants in your neighborhood. Remember how they consulted you first. Remember how they asked how you felt about it first. Also, ask yourself, how many of these same individuals were placed in Lincoln Park? How many of them were placed in Ravenswood? How many of them were placed in Streeterville? How many of them were placed in Lakeview? For those of you watching that are not from the Chicago area, all those neighborhoods I just named are considered top 1% earning neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. You never heard any of those neighborhoods complaining about having an issue with the undocumented immigrants. Black people, remember that every time they play on your sympathy. Stop letting everyone ride the wave of our struggle. This is how everyone ends up getting their piece of the pie except us. As Malcolm X taught us, we keep putting everybody first when they're putting us last. They have no problem using white guilt to garner political currency, to maintain our vote in the systematic box of vote blue no matter who.
Around papers that say I'm a U.S. citizen. So you can imagine people are getting detained, they're getting arrested, U.S. citizens. And they did this, of course, when they raided a building in the middle of the night in South Shore. 130 people that were emptied out of this building. They were going after a few gang members.
In case some of you didn't catch the metaphor, he's making an analogy to the night of the long knives. He is acting as if ICE walked up to the building and said, "Bitte Hofstragen, papers, please." That's not how it worked. He keeps trying to reference these Gestapo tactics that are not taking place. I, myself, I am from Chicago. I am familiar with the neighborhood of Chicago from the north side to the south side to the west side. What I do know is it was stated that there was members of Tren de Aragua that stayed in this building. This was not just a matter of them picking on Hispanic and black or brown people. This was a targeted raid. It wasn't just ICE asking for papers at a checkpoint. Anyone that has a fraction of intelligence knows there's usually a small fraction of criminals in the neighborhood that's causing 90% of the problems. Even without ICE, police raids, we've seen time and time again. Anyone that has lived in the neighborhood, Cabrini Greens, when it was still around, Ickes, Ida B. Wells, Rockwell Gardens, the list goes on and on for the projects. Even without ICE, there was many times when the raid took place, we found out family members were involved as well. That has been a very common, known, occurring thing in the neighborhood where crime is infested and drug dealing is infested. Who do you think mainly enforces the no snitching policy? I'll tell you who it's not. It's not the 9 to 5 who normally pays their 10% on every Sunday. It's normally not that person. Of course, being detained, it's unpleasant. It is. Nobody has ever said, "Ooh, handcuffs, me first." Unless you're into kink and BDSM. Yeah, I walked into that one. Yeah. To control the environment, yes, it's AoE damage. You have to do what you need to do and sort out the details later. We're way too worried about optics for the criminal element. I bet once those criminals are gone and everything clears out and the smoke clears, the tenants that's left over in those buildings, they're going to be singing, "I can see clearly now, the rain is gone." Yeah, because they want those criminals gone. It was 37 criminals that was arrested. Even though it's a small portion creating all the problems for the building, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it is a hammer meet nail. Do what you need to do to contain the scene and sort out everything later. I've said it in multiple videos before. Just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just remember who created this problem. It wasn't Trump.
And instead, they broke windows, they broke down doors, they ransacked the place, and there were people that were held, elderly people and children zip-tied. Elderly people held for 3 hours at a time. They are the ones that are making it a war zone. They need to get out of Chicago if they're not going to focus on the worst of the worst, which is what the president said they were going to do. They need to get the heck out.
So let's talk about that. The federal agents this week carrying out this massive nighttime raid on this apartment complex in Chicago. Reportedly, they used drones, helicopters, military-style vehicles. A Border Patrol officer told the New York Times that snipers rappelled down to the roof of the building during the raid from a helicopter. What more can you tell us about this raid?
Well, let me also mention that the Border Patrol shouldn't be there either. They're claiming that the shores of Lake Michigan are the border of the United States, and therefore they should be in Chicago. They belong on the borders, truly on the borders, and where there may be some mayhem that they need to deal with, but it's not in the city of Chicago.
Your side didn't have a problem calling in the National Guard during the 2024 DNC convention. Oh, it was fine then for the National Guard to come when you called them. Yes, it was. Trump and Tom Homan asked you nicely, hey, let us come in and get the illegals out of there. Let us get the criminals. You said F off. They said bet. Now it's hot like 4 fat people in the sauna. Now you don't like it because it's uncomfortable. It's meant to be uncomfortable. It's not meant to be pleasant. It's not meant to be fun. It's meant to let you know your side did something that was extremely damaging to America. The problem was you didn't think the Pied Piper was going to come and collect.
What happened at that building is shameful. Our Department of Children and Family Services are investigating what happened to those children who were zip-tied and held, some of them nearly naked, in the middle of the night. And again, elderly people being thrown into a U-Haul for 3 hours and detained.
Notice he said detained and not arrested. He knows they would let go after 3 hours. He's hoping you're too stupid to read in between the lines.
Citizens. What kind of a country are we living in? And this raid at this building is emblematic of what ICE and CBP and the President of the United States, Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino, are trying to do. They want mayhem on the ground. They want to create the war zone so that they can send in even more troops. Now they're claiming they need 300 of Illinois' National Guard. No. You guys created this mayhem. When DM said in 2023, bring in all the undocumented. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We'll win the next election. It'll be fine. Yeah, they'll be mad for 5 minutes, but they'll get over it. Wow. That was a long 5 minutes, wasn't it? That escalated quickly. We didn't need them before they showed up. And what they ought to do is allow us to work with FBI, ATF, DEA, who are civilian law enforcement and understand how to target and take out the bad guys.
No, what he means is tell us where you're going to be so we can warn them.
DHS says that CBP officers shot and wounded a woman in Chicago yesterday after, they say, she allegedly rammed a law enforcement vehicle, and agents were boxed in by multiple cars. The spokesperson for DHS, Tricia McLaughlin, accused Chicago police of leaving the scene and refusing to assist agents in securing the area. What do you know about this incident? Were federal agents boxed in and assaulted?
Oh, good question. I want to hear what he's going to say, because I know exactly where this question is going. And I'll give you a hint. It is not in JB's favor. But CNN is trying to look partial here. They're trying to appear as if they're not taking sides, because they saw how much damage they did to themselves via the previous election. But this one here, I want to hear this answer.
Well, we don't have a lot of facts. What happens in these sorts of incidents is typically ICE puts out a press release before anybody else can speak with the press, and then it gets reported.
I knew it. Oh, I knew he was going to weasel out of it. I knew he was going to weasel out of it. 3 more minutes, yeah. He ain't going nowhere. You notice? He ignored and didn't acknowledge that CPD left and didn't assist the woman after she was shot after ramming into a law enforcement vehicle. Because he knows CPD was told not to assist. And speaking, him, JB, acknowledging that CPD left, leaving, makes him look bad. Because then he has to admit the reason why they left is because they was following a directive given to CPD by the city, the government, what he's a part of. And by the way, the lady left the hospital the same day.
On social media and elsewhere. Remember, these are the same folks who killed a person, unarmed person, just a couple of weeks ago in Franklin Park. At first, they said that the officer had been threatened with his life. The reality of it and the truth of it has now come out, and that wasn't the case. They killed somebody. So here, it's really hard to know exactly what the facts are, and they won't let us access the fact.
No, that's irrelevant. He shouldn't have been dragged a half a step, a foot, not even a hairline. As a government official, he should have been able to enact extreme prejudice once his life was on the line. 100%. Saying nothing major is something men say and do as an afterthought after we have already assessed if there's possible injury. But during the situation, you don't know. Being dragged with a car, in my opinion, is definitely a threat on one's life. The minute you put that officer's life in jeopardy, you were fair game. Look, I want to ask a serious question. You let 14 million people into this country illegally. I'm not saying these people deserve to be dehumanized. I'm not trying to dehumanize them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you pissed off a large population of this country, and you thought they wasn't going to want a response. You thought they was going to sit idly by, because let's not forget, you've done this before. Let's not forget, California was notoriously, all the way up until I think 64, 68, it was a Republican state. This same move that was done under the Biden administration, not to this degree, but this same move was done to California back then. This is how California became a Democratic state. This is you just running the same playbook over and over. Welcome to a new age.
They are just putting out their propaganda, and then we've got to later determine what actually happened.
Trump is also trying to deploy the National Guard to Portland, Oregon, after a federal judge there, appointed by Trump, I should note, temporarily blocked that.
Let me tell you guys something about Stephen Miller. This is the guy who I'm telling you, if this guy in 2028 runs with JD Vance as the VP pick, I'm not saying it'll happen, but if he does, you're going to see deportation on a level unhindered. This man really wants to turn up the heat on the deportations. But quietly, a lot of Republicans, they want to see them be way more aggressive. But I'm telling you, if Stephen Miller gets a hold of it, deportations, oh, he'll make Trump look like child's play. This is the real guy that would really turn up. He would have no issue with deporting 1 million a day if he could have it his way. He would definitely Burger King this thing.
That effort. Top White House advisor Stephen Miller blasted that ruling as, quote, legal insurrection and said, quote, the deployment of troops is an absolute necessity to defend our personnel, our laws, our government, public order, and the republic itself. What did you think when you saw that statement from Stephen Miller?
Well, let's back up and remember this judge is a Trump-appointed judge. This judge...
He couldn't wait to throw that out there. He could not wait. He was seething. You could see he was foaming at the mouth to say, hey, one of your own guys turned on you, because he knows how low Democrat numbers are right now. That's one thing I will give J.B. Pritzker. He is using everything in his arsenal to turn up the heat. I'll give him credit. He's not sloppy when it comes to that. He's campaigning. I know he's campaigning. And if you can't see that's what he's doing right now, you're just not paying attention to how the political strata works.
It actually said what I think should be said about all of what Donald Trump is doing, which is it's untethered from the facts. That's what the judge said, that what the government is doing, what Trump is doing, is untethered from the facts. That's the case. He was claiming that it's mayhem on the streets of Portland. He's saying that, Chicago is a war zone. None of that is true. They're just making this up. And then what do? They fire tear gas and smoke grenades, and they make it look like it's a war zone.
Anytime your police force can't contain or combat the crime in a 1 city block radius, you're in a war zone. Even if you don't want to admit it, you're in a war zone. Let's not even speak about Chicago, specifically Inglewood, Chatham, Auburn, Gresham, Austin neighborhood, where the mayor lives. They have been war zones for decades. Matter of fact, drill music came out of Inglewood, which is the battle cry music for a war zone. 100% full stop. Please stop insulting my intelligence and telling me we're not in a war zone. Anytime we start hearing about people losing their lives and being deleted in the Gold Coast neighborhood, which is the top premier area for shopping and living in downtown Chicago, when that becomes a conversation, you are 100% in a war zone.
And they get people on the ground are frankly incited to want to do something about it appropriately. I mean, if you are on the ground and you're having tear gas pellets fired at you, as they have been doing in Broadview.
Why are they firing the tear gas pellets? Let's ask that question. Why are they firing the tear gas pellets? They're not just shooting tear gas because they're bored. It's because the rioters are trying to encroach beyond the zones of protest. The military is a different beast. They're not going to tolerate as much as, per se, the local police would tolerate. They are trained to be swift and efficient and effective. If you are there protesting, protest peacefully. It's a form of restoring order. You can't just do whatever you feel like doing because you're protesting. Do we not understand that there are people protesting at the Broadview ICE Detention Center, which is down the street from me? They have recovered firearms from the scene. And you want to tell me that's not a problem? You're lucky all you're getting is tear gas.
Illinois. You want to react. You want something to happen, and unfortunately, they're using every lever at their disposal to keep us from maintaining order.
But it was fine when you bought all of them here. You didn't care about closing the lever when you let all 14 million of them come here. So you were okay with creating the chaos. But then when the chaos is attempting to be controlled, now you have a problem with it because you want it to be cute. You want it to be respectful. You're worried about optics. You're worried about how it makes you feel inside. When you create an issue of this magnitude, you can best believe correcting this problem, it's going to get ugly. When it comes to this money thing and politicians, if you're not on the inside, you're just one of many with milk under your tongue. Chicago is one of the most corrupt cities, period. It is not a mistake that this has been a vote blue no matter who for over half a century. They know they need the black vote to hold on to that power. This is why they placate us year after year. All they have to tell you is, hey, don't go over there. Those people are racist. The only thing with the Democrats, they're just friendly racists. But what I do think he's probably going to do, either him or Gavin Newsom, what I think either one of them is going to do, they're going to take a page out of Trump's book and they're going to try to create their own version of MAGA with the extreme left. Because those are going to be the young people to tap into when it comes to social media. Because they've already understood. They know the mistake they made. Trust me when I tell you, 2028, Dems are going to be hardcore on social media. This is going to be the one time you're going to see even a lot of members from Blue Sky migrate over to X during the election. What Pritzker has done and Mayor Johnson has done has failed Chicago. Personally, they want to continue and maintain the profit in the crime. As long as you keep the problem, you can keep asking for the money. Even though it shouldn't be a unicorn, I don't understand why this is a problem to get crime lower. Even if you're trying to make the claim that crime is down 30% in Chicago, let's get it down to single digits. Let the National Guard come in here. Let them take care of business. Let them sweep up. What do you guys think? Does Pritzker need to go? Should he be 2028 president? Is he the next man to defeat Trump? Or do you feel that J.D. Vance has it in the bag? It's a self-assist layup in the 2028 election. Jump in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts. If you thought this video was a good deal, let me know in the comments section. Guys, I'll catch you in the next one. It's about to get hot.